the deadly shooting in Las Vegas, investigators remain frustrated by a lack of clues. They still don't know the motive of the attack. 59 people were killed when Stephen Paddock opened fire from his hotel room last Sunday. Las Vegas Metro Police Undersheriff Kevin McMahill says his department is following up on more than 1,000 leads.
In the past, terror attacks or mass murder incidents, motive was made very clear in most of those cases by a note that was left, by a social media post, by a telephone call that was made, by investigators mining computer data. Today, in our investigation, we don't have any of that uncovered. I wish we did.
Police say they've ruled out financial issues or a recent loss of money as a motive. In fact, they say he was winning at the time. Well, the mystery of what drove this man to commit mass murder is the question on everyone's mind. Joining me now to talk about this more is Dr. Frank Emmett, a clinical psychologist specialist at the San Antonio Ecumenical Center. Dr. Emmett, thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You know, the people closest to Paddock were surprised at what had happened, and by all accounts, he didn't seem to be a violent person. So what do you make of this? What drove him possibly to do this?
Based upon all the data that we've collected and amassed so far, he's still very much an enigma. We do know that he had a very large ego. He had a very large sense of self. And whether or not he decided to do a massacre that would enter the history books is one possibility. But insanity, I don't see any evidence of that. Anything that we would label as psychotic behavior, indeed just the opposite. He was very methodical, very planful, very organized up to the very last moments of his life.
And looking at how this entire shooting unfolded, he doesn't fit the average mass shooter profile.
That is correct. He was in his 60s. He was successful, as was just talked about. He had no money issues. He had no interpersonal issues that we knew of so far. And he, by all means, was a model citizen. No arrest record, nothing.
Now, authorities confirmed that he was prescribed anti-anxiety pills earlier in the summer. Does this tell us anything about his mental state?
Not at the time of the shooting. He may have been suffering some type of transitory anxiety in the summertime. He may have gotten the prescription for someone else, his girlfriend, who knows. But it would not necessarily in and of itself account for something that was as well planned, well thought out, well executed as this massacre was.
And with even the side effects, though, of anti-anxiety pills, it can cause aggression in some people.
In some people, it would be a paradoxical effect. In other words, it would be just the opposite of what one would anticipate.
When a tragedy like this happens, you know, we all try to make sense of the situation and try to understand just everything that's happened. So do you have anything for people to help ease their mind and reduce their own anxiety?
Anxiety can run rampant, as can many conflicting emotions during a situation like this, from fear to anxiety to grief. The biggest thing people can do is get with close friends, family, spouse, and talk about it. Talk about how they're feeling. Open themselves up to consolation, to support and sympathy. Try to find and restrike a balance in their lives, to get back to a state that they were prior to last Sunday, and to stabilize, to turn off the news when it becomes overwhelming to the individual. Yeah. It can raise an individual's anxiety level beyond their ability to cope with it. It can rekindle the grief and sense of loss that they have experienced in the past from their own tragedies and their own traumas.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Emmett, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing your insight on everything that we just discussed.
Sharon, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, stay